Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the Two Congos, the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of the Congo. And of course we have with us to talk about the chaos that is generally associated with these two Congos, Dr. LMadu2. And I'm sorry we have a gnat that's loose in the studio here, and it's causing quite a few problems. But nevertheless, Dr. LMadu2, let me welcome you to the show this morning and tell you how delighted we are to have you here and to talk about what you can only do in terms of bringing us the best information that we have in reference to some of the situations that are going on in Africa. We've talked about Egypt, we've talked about Sudan, we've talked about, as we've indicated earlier, you are in reality our African, South American, North American expert in reference to some of these topics. And so let's talk about the two Congos and explain to our audience this morning where we came up with this idea of two Congos.
Well, it's a topic, that's overdue due to a lot of the problems that have been going on in that part of Central Africa, particularly in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We have two Congos. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, with its capital in Kinshasa, and the Republic of the Congo, with its capital in Brazzaville. In fact, it used to be called Belgian Congo because DRC was formerly colonized by the Belgians in 1908. The Republic of the Congo was formerly called French Congo because it was, colonized by the French. In fact, Brazzaville got its name from a French explorer called de Brazza. So Kinshasa was formerly called Leopoldville, from King Leopold of the Belgians. So in 1960, the former Belgian Congo became, the Republic of the Congo.
This is all part of the independence of Africa all over the continent.
In those years, in 1960 became, a republic, of the Congo, with its capital in Leopoldville. Then also the same year, the Republic of the Congo across the river, because the river separates Kinshasa from Brazzaville. Just a big river like the Cumberland River. Yeah. So in 1960, the Republic of the Congo in Brazzaville also became independent. In Leopoldville, Lumumba became the prime minister, of the Congo, while Kasavubu became president and Mobutu became the army chief. In the other part, Alba Fulbe Yulu is a priest, became the first president of the Republic of the Congo in Brazzaville. Soon, all hell broke loose in Kinshasa, in Leopoldville at that time. There was a problem between Lumumba and Shombe and the rest.
Lumumba.
Exactly, Patrice Lumumba and Shombe, and also the Belgians. When Lumumba accepted the instruments, of power as prime minister, he made a very fiery speech, which the Belgians consider insulting, and at the same time, they got afraid that he might become, a supporter of the Russians instead of the West. So they started using Shombe and the rest to sabotage, Lumumba. Meanwhile, the other part of the Congo was still, as peaceful as you come.
That's French Congo, the French part.
Yeah, the French part of Congo, that was still calm. In 1965, Mobutu finally took power. He had taken power in 1960 when he removed Lumumba. And Lumumba was eventually killed in Katanga, now called the province of Shaba by Moise Shombe and the rest. Soon after, 65, Mobutu finally took over for real and stayed in power till 1997 when he was overthrown. Now, Mobutu was used, by the Belgians to get rid of Lumumba because of the big mineral concession in Katanga province. If you've heard of the Union Miniere de Katanga, Union Miniere, they controlled those mineral assets, and they felt Lumumba was a threat. So they funded Shombe to start a secessionist movement in Katanga, which the United Nations came in, and succeeded in crushing.
And so, Dr. Blue, we're getting ready for our first commercial break. But over the last 12 seconds here, let's say this, that we're talking about just vast amounts of mineral resources that are fought over by these Africans over a position that was formerly the French or the Belgium. And so, and of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Segment of the show for today. Dr. LMadu is talking about the two Congos, and he's given us some information in reference to all of the wealth that the Congo pertained, and of course, two former colonial powers, Belgium and France, through these Africans are simply fighting over this wealth. And Dr. LMadu, let's pick up where we left off and give our audience some additional information.
Yeah, like I was saying, Mobutu came in eventually and took over power for real, in 1965, overthrowing Kasavubu and installing a military regime. And he was in power till 67, till 1997. And there has been stories, both written and spoken, that the CIA and the Belgians, organized the rebellion that eventually led to Lumumba's death, because they felt he was a threat to Western economic interests in the Congo. Now, when you talk of this formerly Belgian Congo, you're talking of an area of land 905,000 square miles, larger than the whole of Western Europe put together. France, Britain, Belgium, all this put together is larger in area of land. In fact, it's 1/4 of the United States. Yes, and it's the second largest country in Africa after Algeria. Sudan used to be the second before the split. So you're talking of a huge area with gold, zinc, titanium, cobalt for planes and all this. Oh yes, you name it. It's all in the diamonds. In fact, one of the men behind, who was reputed to be behind, the CIA, listen, to put Mobutu in power, Maurice Tempelsman, was, accorded monopoly of the diamond trade in the Congo throughout Mobutu's regime.
That's extraordinary. One individual given a monopoly of the diamond trade in the Congo.
That's correct, and that's exactly.
How do they get away with this, Dr. LMadu? I mean,
that's
go on.
They gave him those concessions, as to control the place. Now, when Mobutu came in, he regretted what he did, in killing Lumumba and trying to get his supporters to support him. He started changing the names of the cities. Like now, if somebody asks you where is Katanga, you won't be able to tell. It's called Shaba. He changed it to Shaba. And the city where Lumumba was killed, Elizabethville, the center of the copper industry, is now called Lumumbashi. Then the city of Elizabethville, where Lumumba's secessionist regime, after he was killed, his followers established a regime there. It's now called Kisangani, called Stanleyville before. And Mobutu, his name was Joseph Mobutu. He changed his name to Mobutu Sese Seko, Kuku, when he was Abanga, meaning the all-conquering warrior who goes from, conquest to conquest, leaving fire in his wake.
I mean, it would be humorous, Dr. LMadu, if it was not so deadly for so many people in reference to go on.
That's correct. And when Mobutu came in, he became a darling of the Western interests. In Washington, he was feted all the time at the White House, even when he was executing his supporters, his opponents. In the other part of the Congo, things were still very quiet until '68, when the army overthrew the government. Marian Ngwabi took over power and overthrew, Fulba Yulu, as president, and then installed Masemba Debat, who was overthrown. Until 1991, the Congo was ruled as a military government. At that time, they called themselves the People's Republic of the Congo. Most of these regimes, when they took over, they called peoples. I remember a time I called the embassy for some information. I said, I think this is the People's Republic of the Congo. The ambassador said, no, it's the Republic of the Congo. I said, what happened to the people? He said, no more.
The people just disappeared from the name of the Congo, period.
That's right.
It was just that simple.
Exactly.
It was just that simple.
No more peoples. So in 1992, you know, they had a fair and free election, and a civilian took over, Pascal Lissouba. Now, one thing you should know about the Republic of the Congo is that it has a whole lot of oil. It has only a population of about 4.5 million. Area of land is about 132,000 square miles, but with huge resources of oil, very, very huge resources of oil. You know, the linguistic composition of the Republic of the Congo and the Democratic Republic of the Congo are almost the same. You know, you have the Congo people, the Congo Lingala speaking people. They're almost the same
right
language.
across the river from one another, two different.
Exactly, and the demography is almost the same. You know, but the Democratic Republic of Congo has about 80 million people now, and with a GDP of about 20 billion. You know, which is not very much. Really, the per capita is about 236. With all that wealth, okay. But what is happening now is that when Kabila took over in 1997, after the overthrow of Mobutu, those who put him in power wanted, you know, their own share of the loot. You understand? Rwanda and Uganda, they were instrumental in overthrowing Mobutu's regime and putting Kabila in power. Rwanda and Uganda wanted a share of the minerals as payment. Kabila didn't want to go for that. So in 1998, and that rebellion was launched. The Ugandans and the Rwandans invaded again to overthrow Kabila. Kabila called in the Angolans, the Namibians, the Chadians, the Zimbabweans to come and support him. That's what started what they call the Second Congo War, or the African World War.
The African World War.
Exactly. And that lasted from 1998 to about 2003, when they had a Pretoria Agreement for disengagement. But what is significant about that is that the casualties in that war is the highest since the Chinese Civil War. Okay, the casualties since 1998 in the war in the Congo, 5.4 million people.
5.4 million people.
Yeah, and you don't hear about it.
And this is what they call the African
World
War.
Exactly.
And killing one another because of Belgium and France now relinquished that, and yet still they're still holding and dealing with the wealth there.
And some of those African countries who are fighting there, they are fighting there because of the mineral interest. Now, Zimbabwean troops don't want to leave because they want to continue taking some of the minerals as payment for supporting Kabila. Now, the Namibians, the same. The Angolans, the same. They all want their share. So they've carved out territories inside the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So even though with the agreement, a lot of them said they withdrawn their troops, but you know they have people still in there.
Okay, Dr. Boo, let us take this second commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.